Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, I'm so excited to celebrate with you once again. I know you've seen her on my channel so many times. I loved her so much. I was going to say I love this woman so much, but I love this person who's an astrologer, who's spiritual, who's a Jungian analyst, who's dedicated her life to art and the psyche and the symbols and has so much to give and has given again and again in her own life, but also at Synchronicity University. Well, Ursula's here again. Ursula Stockder is back at Synchronicity University as well, this time with a 5-week course. Uncover the artist within through the hidden symbolism of astrology. This is a 5-week course. And as this interview is publishing, you've got a little time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class. Now, previously, Ursula has taught classes on Jung and astrology, on tarot, and you can actually add those on. She's been generous enough to allow us to also present them to you for a limited time as add-ons, as low as just $5 a class as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun as I hang out with my very dear friend, Ursula Stockder. Ursula, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be with you again. Well, first, we all are artists. People think that only people that paint or that make music are artists, and well, astrologers, we are artists too.
Wow.
When we have like a session, we have to get in tune with our client, and we have to I think every chart is something different, and every chart evokes something different. And it's very much like being more in contact with everything that's around you. So what art helps with astrology is that the art therapy is more spiritual and deeper than the psychological. People think that art therapy is psychological. And yes, we are going to see traumas or stuff like that, but there is nothing good or bad in art therapy. But art therapy, it's more a way to being in contact with spirituality. And I think astrology is very spiritual. And I think we all have to get in touch with our own creative part. So it's like every sign has its own way of expressing creativity. And I really want people to get in touch with their own art, with their own creativity. There is nothing bad or wrong. Everything is okay. And there are so many ways at seeing like art or nature or music or a chart. So I really want everybody, I would love to share what I have developed and help everybody to even make their journal, to start writing their journal, to start getting more in touch with their chart, with their transits, because they are going to see, depending on the colors they choose when they do the exercises I'm going to be giving. It is also related to the transits or the things you have to work in your own chart. So that's something
Amazing.
I developed that's like really different, and you can use it with your clients. I once gave an art therapy in Turkey, and one of the students that came wrote to me and said, "Do you know, I'm using this exercise every time when I have a client." So I felt so happy about that, because It's great because as an astrologer, when you make these simple exercises with your client, you're going to notice exactly what they have to work on.
It's so powerful to consider. I mean, I know you've been doing it for a really long time because, of course, you're a Jungian analyst and you work with archetypes and myth and colors and symbols, and you are so well versed on that. Your previous classes have been so rich in that discussion. And so the way that I see this class and what you just described is basically it becomes a lot more of an experience. Like it's a 5-week journey that people are going to take, and it'll help them to tap into a part of their brain that's a lot more creative and a lot more artistic. And that can benefit you in so many ways, whether you're an astrologer, whether you are an artist of any kind. And I'll tell you, like, people have reached out to me and they are artists. Maybe they've been a little nervous about sharing. Maybe they haven't participated in their art in a while, of all kinds, right? Who've reached out and said, oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this class, because it is a different experience than we normally just have at Synchronicity University, certainly. But I know from the talks I've attended that you've done, a talk is one thing, an experience is another, right?
Yes.
It's one thing to present and say, this is what you need to know. It's another to say, okay, how about you write? How about you try this? How about you ask yourself these prompts, these questions? And so you mentioned a workbook. You've developed a workbook as well, which I think is so exciting. And you said that you would give that to students as part of this course, right? So then they get a chance to get that workbook also. And then that gives them something that they can use in the class and beyond, as well, as it contains so many different prompts and understandings. It just sounds like a powerful experience for a lot of people to embrace during eclipse season, no less, right? March is an eclipse month. You're doing this course over the course of March. Mercury will be in shadow and then go retro. Venus will be retro starting the 1st of March. So we've got all of these aspects that say go within, that
Yes,
say,
that's
yeah.
going to be, it's like one of the exercises is like drawing circles. People think, oh, wow, a circle. Well, it's so easy. No. Circles are very, very difficult. There are huge like exhibitions only with circles or only with squares, only with colors. So they are these symbols that we use in astrology. We use the circle all the time. We use the cross all the time. So it's going to get you more in contact with the symbols we use every time when we make a chart, and to be more conscious about it.
How amazing. Yeah. Yes. How amazing. And so I know you've been a Jungian analyst for many years. You have that deep connection, as I mentioned earlier. And so in your work for yourself, for others, because I know, especially for Jungian analysts, but analysts and psychologists in general, you do have to have somebody that you work with also, because my aunt, she recently did her doctorate. She just completed her doctorate of psychology, of counseling psychology. I'm so proud of her. Samira is her name. And she's only 3 years older than me. So we were actually raised like cousins, right? But the other day, like I was hanging out with the family, and she was saying that you can only go as deep with other people in accordance to how deep within yourself you've gone. You can only like guide people to the depth that you yourself have been guided towards, that you're willing to go towards within you. And I thought that that was so powerful. Like that really stayed with me. And knowing you, knowing that you are a person who's gone to those deeper levels in your own journey. I just think that this is going to be an amazing experience for a lot of the participants because it is about, in a sense, facilitating an experience because you've already gone so deep. Even just energetically, it creates a space of allowing other people to go deep as well. And they can share what they want. They don't have to share anything they don't want. And then everybody who's attracted to this experience, I think, as part of like a synchronistic thing, is going to be part of a sacred group, like the souls who are there or the souls who are supposed to be there. And for everybody to be able to facilitate that feeling of safety so that they
Yes.
can go within and meet themselves and come out better artists, better astrologers. It
And
just
not being
sounds
afraid of it.
profound.
And
I'm
not being
sorry?
afraid of it. Not being afraid.
Ah,
Because usually astrologers were very much in our mind.
yeah.
But the creative part, the other day I was listening to a neurologist, and she said, the creative part is when you do nothing. When you are in a mindfulness state. And that's what I would like to share with you, because it's like going into this state where you allow yourself to listen to yourself, to your soul. And I think now with the eclipses moving to Pisces and Virgo, this is very much a part of that eclipse season too. Like saying, well, I have to listen to my soul. And what's my soul purpose? And when you always are studying and listening and analyzing, you don't give yourself the time to go very deep into yourself and into your heart.
I know that some astrologers have said if we look at art movements or like, what kind of art is particularly dominant over a period of time, Neptune can point the way to that. That can be a strong indicator of what type of artistic movements are gaining a lot of traction or capturing the imagination of a lot of people and all kinds of mediums of art at that. But Neptune can tell us a whole lot. And so let me ask you, do you agree with that? And if you do, what reflections you might have of Neptune now in Pisces, but in particular, what do you think might be coming up with Neptune in Aries and artistic movements?
Well, Mars is very important. Mars makes you a perfectionist. You want to be assertive and you want to be unique. And Mars in Aries, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, they are going to be triggering a lot of this need to be unique and different. I think that's very important. On the other side, Uranus and Gemini, I think that's also something that's going to be triggering a lot, because I have been analyzing the chart of Albrecht Dürer. Albrecht Dürer for Germany was like the Leonardo da Vinci. But Albrecht Dürer has a chart, a very similar chart as Escher, with a lot of planets in Gemini. And what Albrecht Dürer did, he was the first to put a logo on his painting. And he was the first one through the Gutenberg, the printing, that he made like the art to be in everyone. He took the Mantegna Tarot, that's very nice, that I just gave a webinar with Isar. I love it. Many painters love that Mantegna Tarot. And he made a reproduction and he took it to the whole Europe. So he made that known. So Uranus and Gemini, I think it's also going to trigger a lot of art, like this impatience, like communication, because there is communication, a lot of communication. And Saturn and Neptune, well, an artist is never like and in peace with what they are doing. They are always like looking for something else. So Saturn and Neptune together probably are going to make like this melancholic state where you are not perfect enough, where you're not giving everything with Mars there. And there that's going to make like people much more disciplined too. Saturn in Aries with this Mars influence, I think it's going to make people like really wanting to look to be different, to be unique. So I think that's something very important for an artist.
And I would think that Neptune in Aries, well, look, okay, so you mentioned Mars a few times. It's Aries is ruled by Mars. And so
Correct, yeah.
that's why we start seeing this embodiment of Mars energy coming to art. But Saturn can be a restrictive factor. And so, but I was just thinking about how art might just become confrontational. And at first, there might be consequences for that because Saturn is there. But then that eventually people will figure out a way around that because of Uranus and Gemini that lets you share with technologies. So art being confrontational, but also art being used to idealize confrontation, to idealize war, to idealize battle, right? Because in the past, we've seen when Neptune was in Aries, it was like songs about the rightness of certain wars, and we saw like certain national anthems that had themes that encapsulated winning battles that were also spoken of with Neptune in Aries. So it'll be interesting to see how that is such a spectrum, right? Like Bansky is one of my favorite artists. I think I'm saying that wrong off the top of my head, but his stuff is so like rogue. It's so spontaneous. It's so out of nowhere. And it, by its nature, depending on where and how he shares it, it ends up being confrontational. And it'll be so interesting to see if more artists feel inspired in that way as well.
Well, if we go back to the muralism in Mexico, well, Bansky also, it's like getting more to the people, like the things he paints and in the street and nobody really knows him, whatever. Well, muralism started in Mexico with surrealism too. And it was really, they say that Mexico is the most surrealist country. And they came here because of this, the need to include symbolism in their art, to include like something that goes beyond, something that is goes over. So that is very interesting because the people like André Breton, he was a Pisces with the moon in Taurus. Then we are going to have Vasconcelos too, who really helped a lot to improve the muralism and surrealism in Mexico. And he was a Pisces too. Most of them, the one who started with this movement, and many of them have had the moon in Taurus. So Breton, moon in Taurus, Diego Rivera, moon in Taurus, Frida Kahlo, moon in Taurus. So this Taurus energy was very strong, but also the Neptunian part. All of them had this Neptunian part that was also very strong. Many of them had Mars in Capricorn. That's something I saw. And well, there is no artist or really no astrologers, because usually we astrologers, we have to study every day. We have to work on ourselves every day. every day. If we want to really be a good astrologer, look at the transits, look at things. So I think that's something that's very close. Astrology is very, very close to this creative procedure, in the sense that we need the Saturn, we need the discipline, we need this passion. So there are three things that usually are going to be needed to go somewhere. And I'm not saying only astrology or art or whatever. It's like to have a sense of life. Where are we heading? To have a passion, and to have this idealism that Neptune probably is also going to give us. So what I want to share, it's through these exercises, you are going to really get in touch with what you really want, what you really are, like your sense of life. And then the passion that gives you like this, oh, I have, like for astrologers, well, for me, I see a movie or series, I immediately have to go to the chart of the artist and look at the chart so I know a little more. Or if I see a biography, or this is the passion we have, and the passion we need to explore more and really get more in touch. So passion usually also gives you Mars. Mars gives you passion. And this idealism, probably Neptune, or I don't know what you think about that. But these are the three factors we are going to need.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Because a couple of things came to mind. Moon and Taurus. I know there are a couple of charts out there for Mexico, but the one that I've seen most has Mexico has a moon in Taurus, like the nation itself and its natal chart.
In Scorpio.
Okay, so then you are thinking about the chart that has Chiron on the ascendant, right? With the moon in Scorpio. And then I know there's another chart that puts the ascendant in Leo and the moon in Taurus. I think it's in the ninth in Taurus. And it has Virgo, a Virgo sun. Yeah, that's it. So it's interesting because I know there's a couple of different charts out there, but I just thought
the funny thing that what I have noticed is that the artists that really have made a huge change in Mexico have the moon in Taurus, and the country has the moon in Scorpio.
wow. So then it makes the country kind of look at itself in a way, because it's opposite. That would make sense too. Yeah.
Yes, and that's something I said, oh, it's so funny, because Remedios Varo came to Mexico, but she was Sag, and Lenora Carrington was an Aries. So, but the Mexican who have really made this change to so even Rufino Tamayo, also the moon in Taurus, and that have made this change for Mexico to be more in favor of this indigenous part, this worker part. They all have moon in Taurus. You never would think that these rebels in art would have the moon in Taurus.
Wow. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned the murals, because that's one of the things I love about Mexico City. Also, I will say Mexico City is one of my most favorite places on the planet. And that's saying a lot. Before we started recording, I was telling you that I've been to 48 countries so far. And a couple of weeks from now, less than 2 weeks from now, I'll be in my 49th country, which will be El Salvador. And then I'll do my 50th before coming and passing through this spring in Mexico City. And of all the places I've been, there's nothing like Mexico City. There's just nothing like the energy, the vibrancy, the way you can feel the power of its history as you walk it. And now I'm thinking, Mexico City is filled with murals, like historical murals, yes, with these, hugely significant artists, like you mentioned. They are all over the city as well. But then you also get modern murals as well from like the kids on the street per se, right? You have these beautiful murals everywhere, and I'm sure that's a huge part of what makes its energy so creative and chaotic, and it has roots, but it also has this ambition. It's an incredible city. Makes sense that it would be filled with murals.
I hope that when you come to Mexico, you have to go to Bellas Artes and see the exhibition for Alan Glass. Alan Glass, he has, well, he loves astrology, he loves tarot, he loves, well, you are going to be fascinated with that exhibition. And well, you usually love to live in the center of the city. So one of the talks I'm going to be addressing is this part of the muralism and the surrealism in Mexico, and how these artists, well, went into this part of this fantasy, dreamy world full of symbolism. And well, Frida Kahlo, she didn't consider herself a surrealist, although André Breton did. And well, there are beautiful books about also André Breton. And well, I really hope that with this experience, I want to share with you that you are really going to go to a museum and look at museum and look at nature and look wherever you go, be more observant and never forget that the Mnemosyne, the mother of the Muses that inspire us, the Muses, the name of museum comes from the Muses.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that.
And that's something I really also would everybody to look at, where we have these asteroids of these several of the Muses, also Mnemosyne. Mnemosyne is very important because she is the memory. So when someone dies, usually they said, well, Leto is going to give her the water so you forget everything before you can be reborn. But sometimes you have to choose, and you can choose to drink from the water of Mnemosyne. And then you are going to have all this memory, even maybe from past lives, if you believe in past lives, but all this memory that is going to be coming through this mindfulness exercises, through dreams, through meditation, through only being in peace with you. So call your Mnemosyne, and in your chart, you can look at this asteroid. That's going to be also very important to look Mnemosyne together with Hermes or Mercury. And then you're going to be like knowing where your memory lies, your past life memories lie.
Wow, that's so powerful to consider. Oh my God, I can't wait to look at my chart and see that asteroid as well. So, and I know you'll be covering that in your class. So, once again, everybody, Ursula Stockder is back at Synchronicity University. I know you guys love her so much as a teacher. This is her third full course. This is, I think, her fifth time or at Synchronicity University. So it's super exciting to have her back. And this time she's doing Awaken the Artist Within. So this is all about helping you to tap into that more creative side of you for whatever you might want to use it for, your own happiness, your own fulfillment, your artistic fulfillment, your astrological fulfillment, being a better astrologer, and so much more. And as this interview publishes, you've got just a couple days left to choose your tuition rate. as low as just $5 a class, which is really an unheard of rate to learn from the one and only Ursula Stockder. Well, Ursula, thank you for being here. I adore you. I love you.
I
I
adore
can't wait to
you.
meet up with you in Mexico City soon.
Yes, I love you. I send you all my love and many, many hugs. Lots
Many
of
hugs. Thank you, Ursula. And thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Until we connect again, take care. Bye.
bye.